Hello, my name's Michael Conneely, and this is a video about Revati Nakshatra, Revati lunar sign. And Revati is the final lunar sign in the wonderful 27 lunar sign, lunar zodiac of Vedic astrology. And the nakshatras tell us particularly about our emotional self, our emotional consciousness. And it's very much warts and all. Good sides of us and bad sides of us, if you like. They're such valid, powerful description. And because they encompass both the shadow and the light side of us, the perception you can gain from studying them can help you move, can help you heal, can help you empower, can help you perceive when you're lapsing into the negative sides of a nakshatra's energy, can help you move more towards the positive sides. Now, in my hand is an 8-page write-up of Revati Nakshatra, so I'm only going to skim it in this video. But I do teach a worldwide nakshatra course, so if you look at the website for that course, it's www.nakshatrasadvancedcourse.com. You need to know a bit of Vedic astrology to enroll on it, but only the bit, only the basics. And in fact, I do also teach a foundation course in Vedic astrology, which is called www.mastervedicastrology.com. And indeed, I also teach a number of advanced courses that you can carry on your studies with. And the focus of my course is it's always very genuine, because it's focused on your chart and my chart. And so we can be sure that what we're saying isn't just a load of gabble. We can be genuine. And basically, we study each of the nakshatras in turn. And so when I have a planet in that nakshatra, you analyse that planet. When you have a planet in one of the 27 nakshatras, you analyse that. If neither of us do, you can bring in the charts of family or celebrities. And then there's a wonderful part 2 to the nakshatra course, where you study the analytic techniques which are based on the nakshatras that are immensely powerful for relationship declaration, for health issues, and for predictive astrology, working out how transits will manifest in your life, transits of planets in the heavens, and how the wonderful, powerful and supremely accurate Vedic predictive periods will manifest in your life, the dashas. Because when you study those transits and predictive periods in relation to the nakshatras in which the planets fall in your birth chart, it's amazing what extra dimensions you come to. So let's look at Revati, and as I said, I can only dip into this. And so Revati is the 27th, the final nakshatra. And at the end of Revati is what's called a Gandanta zone. It's one of the 3 Gandanta zones in the Vedic birth chart where the water signs dissolve into the void. And in a sense, across the void is the first flare of fire. So 2 or 3 degrees either side, maybe even as much as 4 degrees, the world becomes insubstantial. And that's the ending of Revati. It's very important to state that. And basically a nakshatra is really emphasised if you've got your moon in that nakshatra. Or secondly, if you've got your sun there. Or thirdly, if you've got your ascendant or lagna there. And of course, if you have any planet in a nakshatra, it's so valuable to learn what being in that nakshatra will do to the standing of that planet. So basically, Revati spans the last section of Pisces using the sidereal zodiac of Vedic astrology. So that's 16 degrees 40 Pisces to 30 degrees Pisces. And the ruler of Revati is Mercury. And indeed, the ruler of the other two nakshatras that go into their Gandanta zone is always Mercury. And the ruling deity is Pushan. More about Pushan, the most ancient god, later. And the symbol, well, one of the symbols is the fish swimming through the vastness of the ocean, the soul's journey. Alternatively, a drum which is empty and can be filled with divine inspiration. Now, the power animal, or the yoni, is the female elephant. So it's the most sacred animal in the Hindu cosmos. And basically, of course, a female elephant is nurturing, immensely powerful, and they don't hurry. And so Revati, please don't hurry a Revati. And in fact, I suppose I have to confess at this point, I have my moon in Revati, which means that's why I'm such a nice guy. And I'm trying to stop the camera crew jeering at this point. Okay. Now then, in terms of the gunas, well, Revatis are totally sattvic. And so every nakshatra is analysed for 3 levels of guna. And so Revati is sattva, sattva, sattva. Totally spiritually orientated, although there's disadvantages with that, as we'll come to. In terms of Ayurvedic dosha, kapha. The sex is female, and the gana is divine, and the caste is shudra, service orientated. And I certainly do feel that Revatis can just be I don't know, like a sort of servant in a feudal household if they're not careful, you know, going through the unseen duties which no one values them for. That's the feeling they can get when it's at its worst. And the whole theme is about wealth and nurturance, but obviously very often the wealth is spiritual or inspirational wealth. And as I said, in part 2 of my nakshatras course, we study relationships using the nakshatras, and I just make a note that a Revati can't get on, normally speaking, with a Magha. Magha and Revati are obstructive, as the saying goes. Okay, let's just do an initial summary. Revati is traditionally about a journey. And in fact, it's our final journey from this life to the next. And so, at their highest, Revatis are mystics with a belief in the goodness of humanity. But it all depends on their level of consciousness and whether they can find the energy, potential and will to make their growth. Because at the lower level of consciousness, you know, they can be into denial, delusion, alcohol most definitely, druggy escape. But at the higher level of consciousness, they are idealistic, compassionate and forgiving, devoted to good. And they often need to live by water. And in fact, I'm filming this by Loch Gill on the west coast of Ireland, where Maggie and I run a healing centre, and from which we teach our worldwide courses and there's the worldwide healings. So basically, Revatis are dedicated to giving nourishment, and in fact, you know, a Revati will nourish and nurture you even if you really don't want to be nourished and nurtured. So they're empathic, sweet, sensitive and caring. They're responsible and orientated to friendship, but they have big absorption issues. You know, some Revatis just can't go in a city or into a dark, spiritually dark environment. They can be very, very flexible because they're so about the dissolution of the spiritual form into a world that matters more. And so in fact they can be so flexible, it involves them in damaging self-loss. And they can be very codependent. They have a problem with boundaries. And they find it very difficult to achieve psychic protection methods. They often need seclusion to protect themselves from the harsh realities of this world, of life and other people. In fact, revities are meant for worlds much greater and more special and more beautiful than this world. The camera crew are jeering again, I must protest. And in fact, we're just by Loch Gill, and it's literally just down there that W.B. Yeats wrote his poem, come away, human child," where the fairies take a human child away and tell him, "This world's more full of weeping than you can understand." So this is a very good site for the filming of a presentation of Revati. So, because Revati is the last nakshatra, the 27, its energy is potentially powerful for realizing ultimate truths about themselves, about life, about death, about transformation and change. Revati changes our way of thinking to a higher, deeper perspective. It's often visionary and beyond the consciousness level of their society. They have tomorrow's skills for today's world. Revatis protect the soul in its spiritual journey towards death and rebirth. Revati is actually the final phase in a cycle of rebirths for that individual. And so they have an impelling great need to find their particular truth. So Revati is attuned to great consciousness, to the gathering of universal life force, preserving, dissolving and re-emanating. It's the nakshatra of the dreamer. And Revatis, this is important, are always said to get support when they need it most. And of course, because of their sensitivity, they can. And Revatis' lives are often full of disappointments because they're so idealistic. They can live in a different reality from the rest of humanity, and this makes them hard to understand. And they are prone to childhood illnesses and great childhood disappointments. And part of the Revati path is sacrifice, giving up what you desire for the good of others. And Revatis do that through service to humanity, through working, sometimes through doing jobs that gain no appreciation. It's a difficult path to follow, and Revati makes it its own. So basically Pushan is a very ancient deity. He's really associated with cattle and the wealth of cattle and the nurturance of cattle. And so he's in some sense like the rune Feu. The ancient Norse people, before they had money, valued cattle as their means of exchange and wealth. So the deity Pushan is the great shepherd that takes us to the promised land. And he's very much symbolically associated with nourishing through milk and protecting humans and animals who are at risk of getting lost. His influence was described in the Rig Veda as making even stingy people generous, inspiring even the hard-hearted to become compassionate. So there's a lot more, as I said, 8 pages which you get when you study my course. I'm not going to say anything more now, but I hope I've given you the flavour of the highest consciousness of Revati and some pointers towards the terrible low consciousness end of Revati. It is such good insight if you know about which planets fall in the nakshatras of the people in your life, your family members and your bosses. So do have a look at my nakshatra course, www.nakshatrasadvancecourse.com, and enroll. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.